कोसलेन्द्राय महनीयगुणात्मने चक्रवर्तितनूजाय सार्वभौमाय मङ्गलम्. We are discussing the beautiful conversation between the two great princes of the Ikshvaku lineage, Rama and Bharata. A long conversation, in fact. The conversation is pertaining to dharma. What is dharma in a given situation for a particular individual? Many times, in our lives also, we will be faced with this dilemma: what I should do in this given situation, what is right, what is not right, what is appropriate, what is not appropriate. Here also the conversation is all about that only, how to practice dharma. So they have the passion for dharma and interpretation of scriptures. Sometimes that also is not sufficient. Dharmasya tattvam nihitam guhayam mahajano yena gathaha sapanthaha. So it's difficult to understand the path of dharma. Otherwise, everyone actually thinks that he or she is following dharma only. So we adjust dharma according to our convenience, as it suits us. We practice as much as is comfortable to us. But if you just see the great examples here, Rama, for example, they never bothered about their individual comfort, convenience. They were ready even to sacrifice their life. First of all, you have to know what is dharma in the given situation, and then you must have the strength and courage to practice it. So here Bharata is arguing, oh brother, you are the eldest in the family, and according to our tradition and according to scriptures, when the eldest in the family is alive, the younger one should not take to the reins of the kingdom. Younger one is ineligible to the throne as long as the eldest is alive. So Bharata is saying this is dharma. Rama says that I understand that has been the tradition. But the thing is, I have promised to our father, I must keep my promise. So I must abide by my promise. I can't go back on my word. So he ordained that Vanam Gachet Rama, oh Rama, you go to the forest. So we have to obey the command of our father. Neither you have an option nor I have an option. Rama was very firm, determined. Okay, I have given word to father and I must keep it. And you must allow me to keep my word, oh father. And that is dharma in the given situation. And Bharata says, it was my mother who sought the bones from father, right? Though I didn't ask her for the kingdom, she had asked on my behalf. So now my mother got the kingdom for me. Now I am giving it back to you. I understand that, you are practicing truthfulness. I am giving it back to you, and with the consent of my mother, who sought these bones. Actually, she doesn't want this bone. Now she is giving back the kingdom to me, and I am giving this kingdom back to you. So there is no untruth here. There is no adharma involved here. So then there is no exile. The question of exile doesn't arise at all. When the question of exile doesn't arise, your banishment to the forest, then keeping your word to father also should get dissolved automatically, right? You should not be so strict about practicing truthfulness here, because the exile also got cancelled now. Because I am giving back you the kingdom, so you have to come and take the reins of the kingdom. So Bharata actually is putting forth his arguments. Rama says, no amendments are possible. You can't change that. So father wanted me to go to the forest. Subsequently, whatever might have happened, he wished that you would rule the kingdom, and so you must take the reins of Ayodhya. It's a long conversation in Ramayana. But in this ancient India, such debates and discussions used to happen so frequently about dharma and dharma and dharma. What is dharma in a given situation? So Bharata is telling, father actually has done something wrong, okay? Not necessary that every time fathers do great things. Sometimes they do err. So as a responsible son, what you should be doing, you should correct him, right? He has done something wrong of giving promise to mothers, and so you should amend that. You should actually try to correct our father. Otherwise, we are not a responsible son. Sometimes they do err. That's what Bharata is saying, that I cannot indict our father as he is our king, as our guru, and is also, our father. But anybody who is a man of dharma would ever do such a thing, asking a virtuous son like you go to the forest for 14 years? Is it not wrong on our father's part? Definitely wrong. He has erred, an egregious mistake on his part. When he has done that mistake, as the eldest son, you have a responsibility to correct that mistake of our father. Therefore, O brother, don't support this adharma, unrighteous act of our father. So see the will of the majority. Not only I am asking you to come to Ayodhya, and all these people are asking, our guru is asking, other priests are asking, other pious people are asking. They are all well versed in scriptures. They are all asking. So what is the point? Why you don't want to come to Ayodhya? So many people are asking, go by the will of these people. They also know something about dharma. And he is telling, where is forest life? Where is the rule of a kingdom? You are not made for this. This is not meant for you. Where are kingly duties, and where is this life with matted locks? Where is this ascetic life? You lead to a householder's life. You be a good householder and set yourself as an example. This ascetic life is not for you. It's too early. Father's inheritance belongs to his children only, belongs to the eldest son only. So ministers are here, other priests are here. We have brought all the materials. We will anoint you the king of Ayodhya here itself. Then come to Ayodhya like Indra and gladden the hearts of all of us and rule over us. Bharata is telling. Again he is pleading. Please remove this sin on my mother's head. She has done a grave mistake by seeking these boons. She is condemned to gravest of the hells, and so please remove this sin from her head and also write off this sin on our father. So staying in the forest, if you still insist on staying in the forest, if you say that I don't want to come, then I will also stay here in the forest itself. So when Bharata said like this, all the people around, people of Ayodhya, they appreciated his argument, they appreciated his stand. And mothers also requested Rama to come to Ayodhya, but Rama was not relenting. And Rama now actually told the secret to Bharata. Oh Bharata, there is a secret which you don't know, now I am revealing it to you. What is that? Not only that, your mother sought these boons now. Before she got married to her father Dasharatha, our father promised to your grandfather, that means Kaikeyi's father, that you would be made the king of Ayodhya. So before giving the hand of Mother Kaikeyi to Dasharatha in marriage, Kaikeyi's father, he had sought a promise from Dasharatha. What was that? My daughter's son should become the king of Ayodhya. Our father had accepted, had agreed to that condition, and then actually got married to your mother. And ministers know this. Maybe our mother Kaikeyi might have forgotten it. Maybe your grandfather has not told this to Kaikeyi. This is the secret. Not that she sought these boons now. Before also the commitment was there. Our father had promised that actually you would be made the king. So now actually Bharata really became helpless. All the ministers know this. So we have to make him a man of truth. We have to make him dharmatma. Otherwise he will go to hell. What is putra? Put. Putra means son, right? Putra means somebody who saves the father from a hell called Putra. So it is a responsibility of all of us. We four of us should save our father from going to hell. Be a dharmatma, please actually save our father from going to, we all should together save our father from going to hell. Otherwise he will go to hell. That's what the meaning of word putra means. We should be true sons of our father Dasharatha. And then he says, now you go to Ayodhya, rule along with Shatrughna. I will stay back here along with Lakshmanan. I will protect the ascetics. You go to Ayodhya and rule our people and protect the people there. So that is our duty, and here there is no compromise. We should not be compromised on anything else. four of us together should fulfill the vow of truth of Father. That is our responsibility. The arguments are not over yet. Okay? Arguments on dharma, who should do what in this critical juncture, critical situation, not over it. Now, a person by name, a priest, a man who is well read in Vedas, has intervened on behalf of Bharata. So what he is saying, this is Jabali, by name Jabali. What he is saying is, O Rama, you are talking about dharma, but this is actually, you are speaking like a commoner. You are speaking like a commoner, but this is not actually true dharma. So who is related to whom in this world, you just tell me? So we say that somebody is father, somebody is mother, somebody is son, somebody is daughter, but all these relationships are temporary. The relationships are have value and they're real as long as the bodies last, how long these bodies last. So nobody belongs to nobody. To love somebody very intensely and to expect that somebody also loves you the same intensity is all delusion. So don't get into this delusion. So the Jabali is trying to counsel Rama actually. So father, mother, children, money, houses, they are all waste stations. Nothing is permanent in this world. So therefore go to Ayodhya and sit on the throne of Ayodhya. And now actually he is telling that you are speaking like an ignorant man. This Jabali is telling to Rama. So don't have any attachments. Dasratha, it doesn't belong to you and you don't belong to Dasratha. Dasratha has gone to the place where he has to go, and people also offer a lot of food during Shraddha ceremony. That's also waste, rice balls we offer, right, to our Pitris, parents and great-grandparents like that who have passed away. But all this is waste of food actually. Because do they really come and eat these rice balls? People are doing so many things mechanically. They make any sense sometimes. So it's also like this. So they say practice charity, perform austerities, perform tapas, perform japa, take diksha. All this is priestcraft. Priests actually just for the sake of livelihood, they will be telling so many things. They talk about dharma and practicing artha. All these things actually. You just see people who are practicing dharma, how much they suffer in the world. They not only suffer in this world, they suffer in the next world also. So who are very passionate about practicing dharma, they always suffer. That is actually their lot. You just see, be practical. So this Jabali is telling to Rama. Now actually Rama is telling to Jabali. See, anybody else would get actually disturbed, or at least, because so many people are telling that this is dharma, this is dharma, this is dharma. But you just see our great Prince Rama, like a real hero, he stuck to his decision to practice truthfulness. See the determination. Unless you are an exceptional individual, of course, he was the Lord himself. In spite of all this counseling, in spite of all this temptation, so many people, later on, Vashishta comes. Vashishta also says, you come back and take the reins. That is dharma for you. Kula Guru. So generally, when Kula Guru says that, we obey, right? So many times, never before Rama, I think, actually disobeyed Vashishta. But here, Vashishta also intervenes and says, oh Rama, you come. So many people are worried. Your mothers, you see these people. We ministers are worried. Your brothers are worried. Your mothers are worried. So many people are worried. Why you are going to put so many people in distress and grief? Come to Ayodhya and take the reins. That is dharma for you. And also you have to serve your mother. That is your responsibility as a son. So all these people are telling it. But Rama actually is unyielding. He says to Jabali, you speak like my well-wisher, but you are not my well-wisher. All this is false preaching. An unrestrained person, a person who is dishonest, who is not truthful, is not respected in the society. And also, somebody who appears pious outwardly, but doesn't engage in righteous actions, doesn't engage in good actions. Anybody respects such an individual? Moreover, if a king doesn't follow truth, if I don't follow truth, who else will follow? I'll be setting myself a wrong example. People will become more loose in practicing morality, and then nobody will follow. They will become more licentious. So it is incumbent upon me to practice truth, and whole world rests on truth, Rama says here beautifully. Truth actually is the basis, is the foundation for this world. So if a person like me, if I actually fail on truth, if I don't practice truth, nobody else will care to practice it. So I have to practice it. I have no other option. The Mahabharata also, a beautiful conversation we all know about, is there between Mother Savitri and Yama. when Yama takes away the life of Satyavan, Savitri follows Yama, and there a beautiful conversation. And towards the end, Mother Savitri says to Yama, there about truth and how actually truth is so important. And she says, Santo hi satyena nayanti suryaha, Santo bhumim tapasa dharayanti, Santo hi gatihi bhuta bhavyasya rajan, Satam madhye navasidanti santo. Santo hi satyena nayanti suryam. The sun actually moves because of the truthfulness of the Santa, sages, the people of truth. Santo bhumim tapasa dharayanti. Through their tapas, what is that tapas? The practicing of truthfulness. Through the practice of truthfulness, through that tapas, through that penance, sages bear the earth. Santo bhumim tapasa dharayanti. What actually Lord Rama is saying here, truth, on truth actually the world is supported actually. The world is supported by truth, the world is based on truth. The same actually she echoed there in the Mahabharata. Santo bhumim tapasa dharayanti, santo gatihi bhuta bhavyasya rajan. For all seasons, for past and for future, it's the word of the sons, the word of the sages, truthfulness of the sages. That is actually the support. Satham madhye na avasidanti santo. They never become lax in practicing truthfulness, whatever may be the situation, whatever may be the condition, whatever may be the hardship. Such people are called sages or sants. She is giving kind of a definition who is a sant. Satam madhye navasidanti santo. So they never compromise on truthfulness. Come what may. They are the sants, they are the sages, she is telling. So the same thing actually here Rama. Again in the Mahabharata we see, and I think, Nala Damayanti story also, this truthfulness, the power of truthfulness comes. Nala promises to Damayanti, because Damayanti, after Nala gambles away all his money and also kingdom, and now he is in dire straits, he goes to the forest, and Damayanti thinks that because her husband is in difficulties now, as Sahadharmacharini, her responsibility is now to be by the side of her husband. So what she does, she sends her children to a paternal home, and then she follows Nala into the forest. Nala looks at this. It is I actually who indulged in this gambling and squandered away all the wealth and the kingdom. And now for my reason, for my sake, why she should suffer? So she says to Damayanti, you go back to your parental house. Just as our children have gone, you also go there and stay happily. So after exhausting my karma, I will come back to the kingdom. I don't know what will happen, but you can't bear the suffering in this forest. So please go back to your father and mother. Don't be here. Nala says, but Damayanti says, no. You think actually I have come only to be with you when you are good days, when everything was going smooth? No, it is a responsibility as wife to be with husband when husband is in difficulties. So don't ever tell me to go to my paternal home. I will not go to my parents' home, she says. So I will be by your side only. Don't ever tell this. Then actually she extracts a promise from Nala. Okay, you be with my side only. You will never desert. He promises to her that he will never desert her. Now, after some time what happens, one day she served Nala, and after she got exhausted because of, forest life is very difficult life, procuring things, everything, firewood, fruits and roots. So she was lying on a bare floor. Nala looks at her. This, my dear wife, she never slept on floor. She was brought up in a palace. She was brought up by her parents in such comfort and luxury, because of me, and she had to, sleep on the bare floor. I am responsible for all this suffering to her. Why should she suffer like this because of me? This is a cursed individual. So saying that, he just wants to leave her. Why? If I leave away, and what she does, she will search for me for some time in this forest. Unable to find me, she will go back to her parents' home, and there she will live happily. Just to make her live happily, Nala, though he has promised to her that he will not desert her, what he does is, with weeping actually says, he pronounces a blessing her. The Aditya, Rudra, Vasus, and all Ashwini Devatas, they may protect you in this forest. Because he was again worried actually. When she gets up actually, she will search for Nala. If she doesn't find me, she may go into the forest and search for me in the forest. Our forest is infested with wild beasts. What will happen, we don't know. So may all these gods and divinities protect you. So saying that, Nala actually pronounces a blessing upon her. If she stays with me, she will have to endure all this suffering. This suffering will be too unbearable for her. She will not be able to withstand the rigors of the forest life. So let her go back to her parents' home. She will do that only when I go away from her. Saying that, though, he had promised to her that he would not leave her, but she left Nala out of intense love for her only. But when Damayanti gets up and Nala was not there by her side, and again then actually she reminds him, actually, you promised that you would not leave me, but now you won't keep your promise, you have gone away from me. Then she says that Chatvara ekato vedaha sangopangaha savistaraha swadhita manuja vyagra satyam ekam kilaikata. Somebody has read all the 4 yogas along with the Vedas and their auxiliaries. If that is one, and practicing truthfulness, or keeping word, or keeping the promise made to some individual, equal to that, she says. If you keep the promise that you have made to somebody, that is equal to reading all the 4 Vedas and reading their auxiliaries, is equal to that. Truthfulness is so important and it's so great, according to Damayanti in the Mahabharata. So the same thing, whether it's Ramayana or Mahabharata, the statements are more or less same, actually. There is no absolute any contradiction anywhere with regard to practicing truthfulness. Savitri insists on that, and Savitri even said that tapasa, santo bhumim tapasa dharayanti, and because of the tapas only, the earth is kept like the way it is. The earth is revolving at its own axis and it's revolving at the sun. All this is because of the tapas of the people who really practice truthfulness. That's why it's so important. Now Rama is telling, so this Jabali, so will I be able to go to heaven if I go back on my word? Is it possible? No. So people who tell lies, we all tell lies now and then, and we know that, okay? But anybody is a habitual liar. There are some people, that is a kind of second nature for them. Every situation they tell lies. Do we believe such people? You will not, right? Occasionally we all tell lies. But somebody is a habitual liar. Every day he tells lies. That has become a kind of, habit with them. Anybody believes such people? People look upon such people as cobras, Just as you fear a cobra, you fear a man, actually, a woman upon truth. Those who are telling lies every day, okay? That's why Rama says that people who, tell lies, they are feared like cobra. Truth is the way both here and hereafter. It's very firm, he says. Truth is the way both here and hereafter. Lakshmi stays with truth alone. Truth is the Lord. Truth is actually charity, sacrifice, Veda, asceticism. All these are based on truth and truth and truth alone. So truth is everything, Rama is telling here. Bhumihi kirti yasho lakshmihi purusham prarthayanti satyam samanuvartante satyameva bhajet sataha. Bhumihi kirti yashaha lakshmihi purusham prarthayantihi. Bhumi is, land. Kirtihi, fame. Yashas, glory. Lakshmi, fortune, wealth. Purusham prarthayantihi. They woo the person, whoever is practicing truthfulness. We will be with you, we will be with you, they will be telling. Land. But now we don't believe, I know. We think actually if we practice truthfulness, we will become pauper, we will become beggars, we will become poor. But here Rama is telling, actually, wealth will come, land will come, name and fame will come, yashas will come, glory will come. To whom? The individual who practices truthfulness, he says. Rather, all these 4, land, fame, glory, and fortune, wealth actually, they run behind the individual who practices truthfulness. Purusham prarthayantihi. We will be with you, we will be with you. Don't avoid us, don't avoid us. They will be running behind that individual, he says. Satyam samanuvartanta. Of course, we don't have faith in this age. That's why we become short-sighted. That's what Swami says. Unselfishness is more paying, but we don't have the patience to practice it. To get that faith itself is difficult because Maya doesn't allow us to develop that faith and practice of truthfulness and unselfishness also. So satyam samanuvartante, satyameva bhajet satha. Therefore, constantly practice truthfulness. Satyam samanuvartante. Whoever actually practices truthfulness, and all these things will come to that individual for sure. Somebody becomes a king, somebody becomes a papa, somebody goes to heaven, somebody goes to hell. Who determines this? What determines? Our own karma. What karma? If you practice truthfulness, you will go to heaven, for sure. If you tell lies, actually you will go to hell. That's why Rama is saying, I abide by truth. I have promised my father, I have to fulfill it, I have no option. And also an untruthful man's offerings are not accepted by even gods and mains. You may do sacrifice, you may do yajna, you are offering, rich offerings you are putting into the oblation, into the fire, but those oblations will not be taken by gods and mains. So more than that, you may not do any yajna, you may not do any sacrifice. You do this yajna of practicing truthfulness. No other dravya yajnas are necessary for you. Hold on to that. No other yajnas are necessary. But you have money earned in a righteous means, and you want to perform sacrifice, you perform sacrifice. So what are the oblations you pour into that fire? Those oblations will be accepted by mains and also gods. But you must be a man of truthfulness. That's what actually the scriptures say. A man of weak will, a man of weak morals actually, he thinks sin, he acts sin, and he speaks sin. So such individuals will not be respected in the society. Fame and good name will come only to individuals who practice truthfulness, who keep their word. So Rama says here, this is karma bhumi. Okay, we all know that India is Veda bhumi, India is karma bhumi. This is karma bhumi. So having been born in this land, we must act in a good manner. We must engage only in good actions. And many sages in this land have performed extraordinary austerities and attained to heaven. This is karma bhumi. To exhaust your karma, this is the real land. And so having come here, having taken birth on this land, which is a karma bhumi, exhaust your karma quickly and attain to heaven, attain to mukti basically, by practicing truthfulness. So my father is guilty of providing shelter to an atheist like you, Jabali. I don't appreciate your counsel. You are not given me wise counsel. You are trying to mislead me. How come my father kept a person, an atheist like you? How can my father have kept you? He should not have kept you. This is one thing he has done wrong, my father. He has provided shelter to you, which he should not have, Rama is telling. So this is Jabali. Now actually Rama became angry. Jabali got perturbed. No, Rama, I am also a man of truthfulness only. I also have studied Vedas. Not that I am giving you an atheistic counsel, just to bring you back to Ayodhya. I have said all this, what I have said. Sorry, forgive me, he said. So Vashishta intervenes. Then he says, no, Jabali is also a man of truth. Jabali also knows the Vedas. Jabali is also a man of righteous conduct only, O Rama. Just our concern is to bring you back to Ayodhya because so many people are weeping, so many people are in distress. And then Vashishta intervenes. And he says, he lists out how actually the Ikshvaku lineage has come into existence. From Brahma actually, Marichi, from Marichi to Kashyapa, Kashyapa to Surya, Surya to Manu, Manu to Ikshvaku, from Ikshvaku to the galaxy of kings have ruled before you, Rama. So all the entire lineage, Vashishta, sage Vashishta narrates to Rama. In this lineage, the Jyeshta Bharata, the eldest of the son, again actually, Vashishta also is telling the same thing what Bharata has said. When the eldest is alive, the younger person cannot take the reins of the kingdom. Because of this, you come back to Ayodhya. Here no compromise can be had, he says this. So rule Ayodhya, please listen to our wise counsel. There are 3 gurus for every individual, father, mother and the spiritual preceptor. Father because he has given birth, mother because she has given birth and she has brought you up, and also spiritual preceptor because he has given you knowledge. And we owe a debt to all this. By coming back to Ayodhya, by taking the reins of the kingdom, you will be able to clear all your debt to all these people, particularly to your mother. She has become old and it is your responsibility to serve her in this advanced age of her. And so, when you come back to Ayodhya, everybody will appreciate when you serve your mother. But Rama is telling that I have to repay the debt that I owe to my father. I understand it is very difficult to repay the debt that one owes to their parents. But I owe my debt to my father, and that is actually he has asked me to come to the forest and I have to be here for 14 years. Now Bharata is totally exhausted. He says, O Sumantra, you see how stubborn my brother has become, Rama. He doesn't listen, he is not relenting. So arrange a kusha mat for me. I will lie down here on the bare floor and I will enter into Prayo Pravesha. Prayo Pravesha means not touching food till you die. So you will die, you will starve yourself to death. So I will do that. This body is a useless body because a body which failed to win the grace of Lord Rama actually is no body at all. So I will give up this body, I will fast unto death. My brother is not relenting, my brother is not yielding to my importunities, my request actually. So he says he is stubborn, he is obstinate, he is adamant. He is holding on to only his argument and he is not listening to my argument. Now, Bharata says that there is no other way. I have to compel him, I have to force him to come to Ayodhya. This is the last method that actually Bharata employs. He wants to fast unto death. Then Rama actually laughs at him and looks at him. What harm have I done to you, Bharata? Why do you trouble me? Why do you torment me like that? This kind of protest is not available for Kshatriyas. No Kshatriya should ever do like this. I will fast unto death. An ascetic, a Brahmin can have such threats, but you should not be doing this. So Rama laughs at him. And Bharata says that actually people, when he said that this kind of protest is not available to Kshatriya, again Bharata has become defenseless. Okay? You should not say that I will die, I will fast unto death. You can't. So then Bharata actually asks people, what are you looking at? You see my brother has become so obstinate. Plead actually, request him to come to Ayodhya. So I have exhausted all my weapons. All my arguments are over. He is not yielding. At least you make a request. You have come all the way from Ayodhya to this Chitrakuta. And then people say that we know Rama's mind. He says he must keep his promise to Dasharatha, and so we respect him for his decision. What he says is according to dharma. People said this. Okay? Ultimately. Common people, right? Those who have not studied scriptures. After listening to these beautiful arguments between Bharata and Rama, common people who are listening to all this argument, when Bharata asked them actually to intervene on his behalf, to request Rama on his behalf, they said, we know Rama. He is a man of dharma. He says he has promised to his father Dasharatha and he wants to keep his promise. So what he says is according to dharma. We can't plead on your behalf, O Bharata, they said. And so now Bharata is disappointed. You just see, and then Rama says, don't play all these tricks, Bharata, enough is enough. Listen to these people at least, do achamana. This is all sin you are doing actually, you are actually troubling me so much. Rama also got exhausted because such a long, labyrinthine arguments, again and again and again and again. Bharata is not leaving. Bharata says that kingdom doesn't belong to me, O Rama. How can I sit on that throne? Impossible. It belongs to you only. Wherever you be, as long as you are alive, I can't sit on that throne. He has his own arguments, of course. You just see the beauty of the conversation, dharma, 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 the passion for dharma. And now, I never asked my mother for kingdom, Bharata is telling actually. So, I never sought the kingdom, I never asked my mother, you get the kingdom for me. And now you say that Rama is right. You say Rama is right, how can you say that? Dasharatha is telling to people. So, if that is the case, that somebody should be there in 14 years in the forest, then myself and Shatrughna, we both will stay in the forest for 14 years. Rama, you come back to Ayodhya along with Lakshmana and rule us. Rama says that you can't make such amends now. Father asked us, Vanam Gachet Rama, you go to forest, so I only have to be in the forest. Not that you will be in the forest in exchange and I will go to Ayodhya and rule, because somebody has to be there for 14 years to make our father a man of truth. And that's not possible. Everybody has to perform his responsibility. Now my responsibility is to be in the forest and your responsibility is to take the reins of the kingdom. So the arguments are still continuing. Bharata doesn't leave. How many threats he has made, but still he is not leading. And now seeing the beautiful conversation between the two princes, the gods and other sages in the sky, they were watching from heaven all this spectacle, how passionate the two brothers are about dharma. So they come down onto the earth, listening to this conversation. And then they say that your father has ascended to heaven only because of your truthfulness. So otherwise he would have definitely fallen from heaven. If you, the sons, had not kept the promise of your father, he would have surely fallen from heaven. He has ascended to heaven because of the truthfulness that you are practicing. Bharata actually makes a final appeal to his brother Rama. And he says, my mother also wants you to take the reins. It's my mother, right? She is the culprit. She sought these two boons from our father Dasharatha. And she wants to give the kingdom back to you, Rama. So I don't have the strength to rule such a vast kingdom like Kosala. I'm not capable. Please listen to me. Please understand me. So Bharata is pleading against to Rama. And he says, I put my head on your feet. I'm finally requesting you. Please yield. Please agree. Please accept. And now Rama is telling, oh Bharata, you have the strength. You have the training of the gurus. You have the necessary intellect. Wise ministers are there. Wise people are there to guide you. Why do you think that you can't rule a vast kingdom like Kosala? You have all the metal in you. You have all the capacity. You have all the capability. So don't worry on that score. You will be able to rule. And now actually Bharata ultimately has lost the battle of argument. He has understood that his brother is not going to come back to kingdom. Now you just see what he has done. It's very difficult to recognize the Lord when he incarnates in a human form. And Sri Ramakrishna used to tell this so many times. And see the self-effacing spirit of Bharata, the kind of self-surrender he had achieved. But particularly if the Lord is born in our own family and he is our brother and our relative, impossible to discover the greatness of the individual. But here Bharata, total surrender. I don't know what made him, surrender like that. Probably he had sensed, he had discovered, he had understood that his brother was none other than the Supreme, the Absolute. Narayana himself had incarnated in human form. And he says, no, impossible, I cannot sit on that throne. So if you don't want, come back and take up the reins. He says that brightly ornate wooden sandals he put before Rama and asks him, you just set your foot here. Just wear these sandals once and give them back to me. And these sandals, ornate wooden sandals, will guard the kingdom of Kosala and they will protect the people. I will not stay in the city of Ayodhya. I will stay in a village on the outskirts of Ayodhya. And now you just see Rama obliged. And Bharata asks him actually, you just wear these wooden sandals and give them back to me. These wooden sandals I will place on the throne and they will rule Ayodhya and they will protect the people, they will guard the people. Rama obliged. So he didn't say here no. Rama obliged. And that means first time he had displayed, he has consented, yes, that I am the Supreme. Bharata's understanding, he corroborated. Bharata had the understanding he is absolute. And so absolute self-surrender, unconditional self-surrender. And he comes back to Ayodhya. And before actually letting Bharata go with these padukas, these wooden sandals, Rama actually finally requests him, makes a final request. What is that final request? Mataram raksha kaikeyam marosham kurutam prati. Finally says, Mataram raksha kaikeyi. So protect Kaikeyi. Don't be angry with your mother. Of course, Bharata actually had no occasion to become angry with her. He had gone back there because he was living in the Nandigram, the outskirts of Ayodhya. He didn't even enter into the palace or the city. He was separate from his mother. But the last promise that he extracted from Bharata was this. Rama says, Maya cha Sitaya chaiva shaptosi raghunandhana. We both, not only I am urging this along with Sita, that you don't become angry with your mother. Mataram raksha Kaikeyi. Rama has become our hero precisely for this reason. It is he actually who is suffering here in the situation. He is in the forest actually. Forest life is very tough and very hard, we know. And not only he is suffering, and Lakshmana was by his side, and also Mother Sita was by his side. And now actually showing so much of concern for Kaikeyi. Practically she is the villain here. She conspired against Rama in a way, right? But now he is showing such extraordinary concern for her, though he himself is in such dire straits, in such deep trouble. And saying to Bharata that don't become angry with your mother. Mataram raksha Kaikeyi. Protect her, forgive her, don't become angry. Because Rama thought probably that once they go back to the kingdom, Bharata would be seeing Kaikeyi every day. And because of you, my brother is suffering there in the forest. Because of you, my brother is suffering in the forest. So you are responsible. You are a wicked woman. You are no mother. You are good for nothing. Thinking that Bharata might say like that and torture her, Rama is extracting a promise from Bharata. Don't become angry with your mother. I am not just telling, I am saying this along with Sita. So give this promise to me. And ultimately Bharata goes back. And the sandals actually wears on his head. And also while carrying the wooden sandals from Ayodhya to the Nandigram, he wears them on his head. Not that he was holding in his hand. He wears them on his head and goes his Rama only. That means the absolute he is carrying on his head. And of course goes back to Nandigram. And there on his throne actually he installs these padukas. And whenever actually he wants to take a decision, all that we will describe before those padukas, and he never consider only padukas are there. Rama actually alone is sitting on the throne in the form of those padukas, and he only is ruling Ayodhya, and he only should rule. And that is the level of self-surrender and self-effacement that Bharata has attained. Because of this extraordinary self-effacement, Bharata actually became the absolute. Whether Rama was experiencing the absolutehood or not, with a divine consciousness or not, but probably Rama was actually like human only, he was playing the drama. But here Bharata, because of the total surrender to Rama, he was just in touch with the Absolute. So his self-effacement is something extraordinary. That was possible for Bharata because he discovered who Rama was. Of course, he was Amsha of Rama only. All the four brothers were Amsha of Vishnu only. So I think it was not difficult for them to understand. But to understand, that he is absolute, incarnated in human form, and to attain to that degree of self-effacement is not a small thing. It definitely is extraordinary. There is a story, a kind of legend that is told in many of these Ramcharitamanas discourses. They tell this. Once Narada became very curious. He wanted to know. So what rank he has, in the list of devotees of the Lord. What is his rank? Today is all age of ranks. Those days also, what grade I have. Among the devotees, how the Lord considers. Lord has so many devotees. What is my rank among them? So Narada became curious. And he heard that actually Lord actually has kept a diary. In that diary, Lord has actually noted down all the names of his devotees. When Narada came to know about this diary, he became more curious. He wanted to know his rank actually in the list of devotees. So he goes and asks the Lord, "Oh Lord, I heard actually you keep a diary of your devotees' names actually. I just want to know my place, my rank." And Lord said, "No, but Narada, actually you may get offended, if your rank is not good." Okay. That's also of the diaries, after all, is a personal thing, right? You should not ask, show me your diary, show me your diary. Do we go and ask somebody, show your diary? Diaries, after all, are personal. So Lord wanted to dissuade him, but Narada actually insisted, no, I want to see, please allow me, please allow me. So ultimately, Lord had shown. Okay. Narada, before that, actually, he had an argument with Hanuman also. He thought actually he is the best among all the devotees of the Lord, because all the time he would say Narayana, 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 Narayana. So when he saw actually the diary, his name actually on the top of the list. So now Narada became very happy, jubilant, rank 1, number 1 rank. So then he searched the entire list actually. Nowhere he could see actually Hanuman. Nowhere he could see the name of Hanuman. That got a little perplexed, and he became a little proud also. Then he goes back to Hanuman. I see, my name is on the top of the list. It's fine, but Hanuman, I have not found your name anywhere in the list. How come that actually? You may not be a great devotee like me, but you also should have some rank, right, in that long list of devotees. How come that actually Lord has not even mentioned your name in that long list? Then Hanuman asks him actually, Narada, Lord keeps another small diary also. Have you asked about that diary? Have you seen that diary? Is it? I thought actually he keeps only one diary. So I asked for that big diary only. No, go and ask for the small diary. Again he goes back to the Lord. Oh Lord, I think some more names are there in that small diary. Why don't you show that small diary also? Lord this time actually strongly dissuaded him. Narada, diaries are after all personal. How can you ask me to show the diary? Okay, don't worry actually. I have shown you, your rank is 1, right? A huge list of devotees, your rank is 1. Why are you so worried about that? And please don't insist on, my showing this small diary. Narada would not leave. No, please. I will die of this curiosity. I will not be able to repeat your name. I will not be able to meditate on you. Because unless and I satisfy my curiosity of this, then actually the Lord has shown him the small diary. The small diary, only 2 names are there. One is Bharata, another is Hanuman. Only 2 names. Now Narada actually became more worried, and his curiosity has gone up further. Why have you not written these names there in that big list, in big diary? Why are you keeping a separate diary for just these 2 names? Then he asked the Lord, there is a difference, Narada, between those devotees and these devotees. What is the difference? I want to know. Please tell me, please tell me. And the Lord said, the list of the names that you have seen in the big diary are my devotees, definitely. They are good devotees of me. They all repeat my name. But these 2 names which are there in the small dictionary, I am their devotee and I chant their names, Bharata and Hanuman. Bharata and Hanuman, these names, Lord repeats these 2 names. He has so much of love for these 2 devotees. Of course, Narada's pride has got humbled a bit. And Rama loved these 2, Bharata and Hanuman, so intensely and so much. So finally he says, before sending him actually, his resolve was so strong, to practice truthfulness. The Lord said, actually, there is a beautiful sloka in Ramayana. He says, Lakshmi Chandradapeyadva Himavan va himam tyajet Atiyan sagaro velam na pratignyamaham pituhu. Lakshmi Chandrad apeyad. The moon may lose his splendor. Himavan va he himam tyajet. The Himalaya mountain may give up its snow. You can't imagine Himalayas, right, without snow. Himavan may give up his snow. Atiyan sagaro velam. The ocean may cross its bounds. Na pratignya maham pituhu. But the promise I have made to Father, I cannot go back on it. This is my final conclusion. And after this, actually, Bharata puts the sandal before Rama, and Rama wears the sandal and gives it back to him. So this is the story, the beautiful conversation that had ensued between the two princes. The gods, they descend to the earth to listen to this conversation. We need to understand that in this culture, people were there in the past, actually, who were so passionate about practicing, dharma. The life is, an adventure, and without these moral adventures, life will be, insipid, right? What is life without this? Physical adventures we make so many. There are so many people climbing mountains and crossing straits and swimming across straits and all this. Truthfulness is that great adventure that we all actually have to embark on. Practicing truthfulness, different circumstances will be there, so much of temptation will be there. But you must try as much as we can. So this is an adventure, great adventure. We all need to embark on it. In this Kali Yuga, of course, definitely it's difficult, but not impossible. Because we have great examples before us. We may not become successful like them, we may not have that much of this passion, but even on 20%, 30%, if we become successful, that's a great achievement, in fact. Because Santo Bhumim Tapasa Dharayanti, Savitri has said this. So you will be bearing the earth. Mother Earth will actually rejoice to bear such a child. To have the touch of the feet of such a child, the Mother Earth will rejoice. So it's very important. She says that I can bear anything, but I can't bear untruthfulness, Mother Earth says somewhere. The Bhagavata also it comes. So what is the lesson that we can derive from this great conversation? Whole of the Ramayana is that only, right? Rama's steadfast adherence to truthfulness, passionate adherence to truthfulness, Satya and Satya and Satya. We all worship Rama, we say Ram, Ram, Ram everywhere, actually, whole country reverberates the name of Rama. But the character of Rama must find expression through us. We must all become true followers of Rama. That spirit of, truthfulness that which he had displayed in his life, we should bring that into our lives. Then I think actually the real worship of Rama. Let us try. Let us resolve like that. Truthfulness is important. We all have the capacity to practice it, but the resolve itself is not there. Vow itself is not there. That's why everything becomes loose. Mahatma Gandhi actually practiced it passionately in the recent history. We have a great example in the past and also in recent history. Sri Ramakrishna, of course, is the greatest example. He said that to Divine Mother, actually, I offer this, my mother, everything I have, I offer this to you. But truthfulness he could not offer. He said, no, truthfulness I have to keep it by myself. All his practices, all the punya that he had acquired through the penance, and everything he had surrendered to Divine Mother, except truthfulness. If I offer this, I am nothing actually. So the truthfulness, actually, you have to keep it for yourself. Hold on to that, actually, that's a great spiritual practice. In this Kali Yuga, according to Sri Ramakrishna, that is the greatest penance and greatest tapas. So we shall stop here for today. We shall meditate for 2 minutes before we disperse. Om